Afternoon folks, and welcome back. It's Sunday afternoon and it is pissing down with rain, and it's not really the weather for doing much at all. Now I'm at this sort of situation where I am waiting for metals to start work on the LG 300, and I've still got the bits and pieces ready for that. Let me just turn this light off because it doesn't work so well. That's better. And because I haven't really got much to do at the moment, which is quite surprising, I thought I would knock up a quick project. And I've got some old power supply bits and pieces there, and I've got an old Chinese power supply, and I thought what I would do is perhaps make up a very simple QRP crystal oscillator that can be powered off a 12-volt battery, which will hopefully power that Chinese power supply, and we will put it in one of these old aircraft black boxes. So without further ado, let us start metal bashing and put it all together. So this, folks, is my quick and dirty rainy day project, I would guess you want to call it. And I did. This is real. This has been a real lash up, but I just something to do while I was waiting for some metal to complete the or to start the LG 300 power supply. Anyhow, what we've got here is a very simple crystal oscillator transmitter, and I originally wanted this to run off 12 volts with an included power supply. Now, first thing you'll notice on this transmitter is that the power supply doesn't have a huge big iron transformer, and we've got one of these Chinese inverters which is supplying the power for this transmitter. And the transmitter is, or the oscillator, call it what you like, is a 6BW6 Colpitts oscillator, crystal oscillator, and very simple. And I literally lashed this up together in a day or so. And yesterday I was testing it to try and sort out some gremlins which I had with the earthing, because these two areas of the chassis unfortunately are not completely in continuity, or in electrical continuity, because of the although this is a piece of aluminium from an old aircraft fuel control unit, which is one of the bits I gutted from previously. They've coated this chassis, or the parts of this chassis, in some sort of thing or coating which doesn't really conduct very well. So I had a bit of a problem trying to solve that, because I couldn't figure out why the relays weren't going over and the power supply wasn't coming on. It was a grounding issue, as always. Anyhow, so I've put it up together. I have tested it. It does work. I designed it for 14 megs, so 14.060, which is the crystal, which is the QRP frequency, and hopefully we might be able to use it to get a few QSOs. So that's more or less it. I'll run through the circuit just in case anybody would like to build one of these. For those of you who might be interested in the schematic of this one valve transmitter and thinking of possibly building one yourselves, this is the circuit diagram that I used. I made a few slight modifications on it, because obviously I'm using it on 20 meters. So this transmitter is based on the AA8V transmitter, which I actually got from his website. He's the guy who does all the Wingfoot transmitters. If you just put in Wingfoot transmitter on Google, you should find it quite easily. And he's used a 6CL6, which I didn't have. So I've used a 6BW6, which, for those that don't know, it's very equivalent to a 6V6 in a miniature valve envelope. And the schematic is fairly straightforward. It's just a Colpitts oscillator with a pi output for the the tank circuit. The only changes I made was that this 22 puff capacitor I changed to a 10 because it's obviously on 20 meters, but it may well oscillate fine on 22 puff. A lot of these capacitances aren't too critical, but if you're planning to use it on lower frequencies, then you have to change these accordingly. What else did I do? The other thing that I did was obviously the tank coil. So for 20 meters, you're looking at about 2 microhenries, and I used about 3 Type 56 yellow toroids, as you saw in the other video sections. And for the plate tuning, I used a 75 puff light trimming type capacitor, and similarly for the loading capacitor, also a 100 puff trimmer. Those are quite okay to use for QRP. And I think that's more or less it, really. Obviously I didn't use his power supply because I was using the Chinese inverters, and I think I changed this to a 10K, I think, to suit my needs. That's the screen resistor, and other than that, that's about it. I'll just give you a word of warning about these inverters, which I've repeatedly come across but seem to fall into the same trap. These Chinese inverters, they do come in 2 sizes. This is the larger one. I initially built this up with a smaller one, which I'll show you. This is the smaller version of the Chinese inverters I was talking about, and this one is rated at about 250 volts, I think, maximum. And I did try this, and it sort of worked, but what I've noticed with these inverters is that the output is very, very saggy. So even though it says it's 250 volts, and off load it'll go higher, but when it's on load it really does drop by a further 50 volts. And that was the problem I was having, so I ended up having to put in a bigger inverter, which this one actually produces 380 volts. That's what it says on the back. And again, on load that drops considerably. So eventually I got it to work, and I had to use a dropping resistor, which is here, in order to get the voltage about 300 volts, which is what the 6BW6 is rated at, to get a reasonable power output out of it. So the amount of power I can get out of this without sort of blowing it up is about 4 watts, 4.5 watts. I think that was about the maximum. I did sort of creep it up to 5 by increasing the input voltage. So with 12 volts, this power supply will produce around about 380 volts, which does drop quite a lot. But with a 1K dropping resistor, you get it in the ballpark of 300 volts, which is ideal for the 6BW6. Anyhow, I'll give you a quick demo of it into the dummy load, just to show you the power output. And I have tried to go on the air with this, but unfortunately the band is very busy. With the crystal, you're very limited to one frequency, obviously, and if that frequency is occupied, then it's a bit difficult to try and get a QSO. So what I'll do is we'll try and we'll show you we'll show you it powering up and on the power meter, just to prove that it does actually work. So let's just turn it on and give the heater a bit of time to warm up. And switch it on, which transmits. I'll just adjust the receiver. So we've got just 4.5 watts there. It's a bit chirpy because the power supply is so saggy. Well, anyhow, what we'll do, I'll just have to listen around and see if we can get a QSO with this. Interesting. 4.5 watts. You never know what we can get rigged up to the Yagi. Okay, we've got a QSO with a guy in Switzerland. Five, 7 and 9. With QSB. His name's Heinz. Near Zurich. For those that don't understand Morse code, I've just said good morning to him and giving him a report, which is 5, 7 and 9, which is standard reporting numbers, and telling him my name, Justin, and my location. rig is tube transmitter with 4 watts. So at the moment he's replying to me, and he's saying fine business, QRP, CWQSO, Justin, and thanks for the report. He's saying that I've got a super fine business signal from my transmitter, and he is using a USDX SDR QRP transmitter, and he's saying that, and also running 5 watts. It's running 5 watts. His antenna is a dipole, and he also goes on to say that the weather where he is cloudy with some sun, and the temperature where he is about 15 degrees Celsius, so it's probably about the same as Swansea, I think. And he goes on to thank me for the QRP QSO and wishes me best DX and 73s. So I've just said to him, solid copy Heinz, and thanks for the information in QSO. I also tell him that I will try and get a few more QSOs with this homebrew transmitter, and wish him well, and also good DX and best 73s, and take care. Well, there we go. That was a quick QSO with the Lash Up one tube transmitter all the way to Switzerland, chap near Zurich, Heinz, and clearly demonstrates that you don't need complicated electronics to get on the air and have a QSO. Anyway, folks, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this quick and dirty one tube transmitter, and hope to see you again. Cheers for now.